Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Now, today's episode is going to be about just going through just a few maybe issues, I guess, or just conversation points I had about Bleacher Report's recent list about the top 15 pure hoopers, pure scorers, and just kind of reviewing the list and like kind of just their criteria, which was vague. And again, when you're throwing out terms like, oh, who's the greatest pure scorer of all time, like a lot of people are going to look towards like shot diversity, shot hunting, again, like that 3-level scoring palette. And then pure like scorers, like a lot of players are going to look towards like just outright dominance. And a lot of that, it goes towards like physical traits. So you're going to see a lot of post scorers get a lot of love on a lot of other people's lists. But with what Bleacher Report came out, there are mainly 3 pillars that they, use to structure their lists. And it kind of started with the first basis of raw scoring production. The second one goes towards mainly just your efficiency and your ability to offer your value on all possessions. And when you are an efficient scorer, you provide more value with each shot. Again, you get more points per shot. That is more valuable. And they also prioritize players that put up gaudy numbers with heaps of free throws. So that's why guys like Shaq, Giannis made this list. Karl Malone, SGA made this list. Obviously, it was less clear, obviously, with that criteria, but obviously with such a vague and subjective term like pure scoring, depends what you really care about as an NBA fan. But their list went as follows. Steph Curry, number 1. Kevin Durant, number 2. MJ 3. Joel Embiid 4. LeBron 5. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 6. George Gervin 7. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokić, then Kobe Bryant at 10. And then the last 5 were Giannis, Kyrie, Shaq, Donovan Mitchell, and Karl Malone. Now, in terms of just the topics that I kind of wanted to hit off in what will probably be more or less just a pretty quick episode, Kobe Bryant at number 10. Probably the thing I had the biggest shock with. And it's not just reputation value. Like a lot of fans probably believe that fans like me will get upset at something like this with Kobe being at number 10 more because of the reputation he left behind. But no, when you're talking about pure scorers and you talk about the criteria points, again, production, efficiency, shot diet, your outright dominance as a scorer, getting to the free throw line, rim pressure, post-up buckets, isolation, face-ups, anything that you actually wanted, Kobe was providing plus value with on every single shot type relative to his time, relative to his perimeter peers. Now, again, we're talking about maybe the most skilled shot hunter of all time. And when I say that, not many players could lean into the balance, the footwork, the coordination, the elevation tools, and the straight outright just strength that he grew into his frame towards the late 2000s as what Kobe was able to do as a shot creator. He hunted absurdly efficient shots for his shot palette in a time where little offensive efficiency was so hard to come by, especially for lone shot creators. And that's why he absolutely dominated that era and why he was the best player in the world for a stretch of time. And then when we talk about Kobe Bryant, like you don't even need to say too much. Like he's a 2-time scoring champ. Through the 14 years between 1999 and 2013, a 14-year stretch, this guy was averaging 28 points a game on 49% effective field goal percentage. I know the efficiency is not going to look too sexy, but the point is, relative to his peers, T-Mac, Vince Carter, those perimeter shot creators, Allen Iverson, like it's extremely hard to actually flourish in an era where the post was extremely suffocated and pace was more or less extremely slow. And that's where you do have to give credit to what Kobe did in that time. Again, he was the best scorer during that entire decade of time and an absolutely dominant force. And he did backline 2 championships as the finals MVP, 5 altogether within the same decade with that real specialty of his skill. And again, that's where also like just looking into like the peak of what Kobe Bryant was doing as a pure scorer. 2006, this guy was giving you 35 points a game throughout an entire season, 45, 35, 85 splits. Fairly balanced, but also just plus relative to those peers, like, once again, those volume perimeter scoring peers. And that's why Kobe at number 10 just becomes a pretty shocking thing, to be honest. Like, when you talk about maybe being the most gifted shot hunter in NBA history, with so much shot diversity, one of the most beautifully balanced physical and athletic toolboxes that we've ever seen. And with all the achievements and then also just the statistical production, even getting to the line, just being able to actually apply rim pressure as an apex athlete for, again, 20 years in the NBA. Like, it's a no-brainer. Kobe should have been higher. I would have had him top 5, no-brainer for sure. But obviously they listed him at number 10 due to whatever reason. Maybe they held efficiency back against him. But I think that's a little bit unfair considering the time that he was actually playing in. Now, the next part I want to quickly hit off. Donovan Mitchell made this list. He was number 14 on this list. To be honest, he could have been a little bit higher. And Donovan Mitchell, to me, is the most underrated superstar in the NBA today. So again, in that top 14 to 15 guys in the NBA, I think he's the most underrated and underappreciated. The dude's made the playoffs 8 out of the 9 years that he's been in the league. So he is actually someone that does contribute to winning teams. Obviously, it's hard to hoist the trophy at the end of the year, but this guy has done that with his specialty skill at being, again, like Kobe, a super diverse shot maker too. So this is a guy who we see year by year, just extremely developed skill set at this point in time. It's not like this guy's just been able to produce in the regular season. This guy actually brings playoff fluent production to the game. We're talking through 9 regular seasons of time. This guy's averaged 25 points through nearly 10 years of NBA basketball. 53% effective field goal percentage, 45, 37, 84 splits, extremely balanced. But when you look at the playoffs, 8 playoff runs in this guy's career, nearly a decade of playoff runs that we get to actually review with Donovan Mitchell. He's giving you 28 points a game. That's including his rookie year, those early years in Utah. And the efficiency drops to only just 51% effective field goal percentage. That is really reliable from your 1A. 44, 35, 82 splits, but it is rim pressure focused. And it's so special that a guy that is 6'3" at the end of the day is so rim pressure focused. He's relentless athlete, relentless downhill athlete, body contortion tools. The footwork is extremely explosive. In terms of the body counters that he throws at you through the lane, well, and then also like in aerial dynamics too. Like, this guy's an absolute freak of an acrobat, and it translates to the postseason every time. And then the other thing is, though, with Donovan Mitchell, what is interesting and what I've harped on for a long time is the ability for him to create actual pull-up airspace better than most athletes in NBA history. Again, when you are so focused on literally getting to the rim and using your powerful frame to, again, just disembody other players, defenders as well, through their chest, that forces defenders to play on their heels more, and they're going to brace for those drives, brace for that power. And when players play on their heels, they're going to be less resistant and less able to actually offer those contests at the top of your jump shot. And when Donovan Mitchell, when we talk about elevation principles on his jump shot, it becomes extremely hard to contain there. And that's why Donovan Mitchell, in terms of just shot quality, like, I actually don't have any issue with him making a list like this. And honestly, a guy like Anthony Edwards, when we talk about the concept of shot quality, like, in terms of Donovan Mitchell, really any shot he takes is relatively efficient. It's plus league average efficiency. It's kind of the same with Anthony Edwards. The only thing is Ant just hasn't done it for as long of time. But Donovan Mitchell makes this list for sure, in my opinion, and I'm really happy they did give him the respect on this list here. The next part I wanted to go through, Steph Curry, the purest scorer that the game has ever seen, according to Bleacher Report. I don't hate this either. I probably wouldn't have him number 1. I would have had probably Michael Jordan number 1, to be honest with you. When you actually balance like all of those traits, your ability to impose yourself physically and athletically, Steph just couldn't do that to the level that Jordan could. And then we talk about relentlessly getting to the rim, the most efficient shots in the NBA. That's why I probably give the nod to MJ in terms of also forcing and willing himself to the line. Again, post-up variants too. But Steph, like, in terms of, let's just review the peak production as a scorer. 2016 and then 2021, we had a large gap in between. Obviously, he had a lot of talent around in between those years where he didn't actually have to put up these gaudy production numbers. But when Steph needed to actually floor raise, and again, the floor raising context is most specifically related to 2021, but this guy's giving you basically like GOAT tier aggregate efficiency for a guy that's averaging like 32 plus. And in terms of 2016, let's just review the peak of Steph's powers when we talk about literal just efficiency with that production mix. Also, he just led 73 wins, which is unbelievable. But 30 points on 63% effective field goal percentage. That is nuts. 50, 45, 91 splits for a 6'3" skill guard. Donovan Mitchell's an athletically empowered scorer. This guy's a pure skill guard, and to be putting up those splits, that reliable of efficiency on that type of production, that is like unheard of. And we're probably never going to see it ever again, to be honest with you. And then when you flip to 2021, again, that floor raising context where he's actually having to put up, like jack up the most shots that he ever has in his career. Ratcheting up that production load, this guy gives you 32 points. Again, scoring leader once again on 60% effective field goal percentage. So it doesn't even drop by that much. 48, 42, 92 splits. The guy is an absolute god tier shooter, which we obviously know, but that god tier shooting and the touch, it translates to the rim as well. So when he actually was athletic enough to be able to use his speed advantages against bigs, that touch, the finger rolls, the under finishes, unbelievable. And in terms of just overall polish of actual literal touch and coordination of the hands, never seen anything like it in NBA history. And that's why the guy was ranked number 1 on this list. Is probably why he would be consensus top 5, maybe the top 3, in my opinion, just with how glamorous that literal shot touch actually is. And with any sort of gap of airspace, the guy was making about 50%, like 40 to 50% of his threes in his peak prime. And in terms of the criteria point that Bleacher Report we're looking at, when you add value to every possession, that's through your ability to be just like absurdly efficient with every shot that you take and the amount of points per shot that you actually are generating. And obviously with Steph's revolutionizing the 3-point shot, obviously he just absolutely excels in that criteria point. And that's probably why he ran away with the number 1 spot here. And then just to finish up with Steph's case for being a top 3 pure scorer ever. And a lot of people are going to hold back the athleticism and, again, like literally getting to the rim, the high flying finishes compared to guys like Jordan, Kobe. They're going to hold that against him. But through 17 years that we've seen this guy in the NBA, he's still averaged 25 points a game throughout 17 years. He's the all-time leader in 3-pointers made, 3-pointers attempted, and free throw percentage. So the guy's an absolute god of a literal shooter, and it's translated to everywhere on the floor, and he's understood how to weaponize it with the greatest on and off ball feel that we've ever seen. And again, when you are translating the scoring to literally just your movement patterns off ball, generating that space and generating those openings for yourself. Again, we're talking about his scoring production, not the advantages he creates for other teammates. But when he creates his own openings for himself off ball movement, that's where it becomes just pure effortless scoring. And that's where he checks this box off as well. Obviously, guys like Kobe and Michael Jordan, some of the greatest off-ball scorers that we've ever seen, doesn't compare to the value Steph was actually bringing on the points per shot coming off of his movement. Again, glamorous shot touch, Steph Curry, number 1. I don't actually have a problem with it whatsoever. Depends on what you actually believe in. Again, if you're going by the pure effortless standpoint, probably go with Steph there, but I would have had him around the 3rd or 4th option, to be honest with you. I do value the physical and athletic advantages that you can bring to the game. Nevertheless, he ranks number 1 with very good reason. The next point I wanted to hit off, LeBron as a pure scorer, and just kind of grading that. I know a lot of people would have thought, LeBron being ranked here was just a bit of respect just because he's the all-time leading scorer, but he certifies for this list because Bleacher Report specified that they also value just little outright dominance and outright just dominant production. Like your ability to put up, again, gaudy numbers through your little ability to just flex your physical traits. And that's what LeBron has done for 23 years now. And the longevity standpoint is clearly on his side. He's the all-time points leader, both regular season and playoffs. And also what's different with LeBron is that I think a lot of fans probably underrate the actual skill exhibition that he's actually put on over the past few years and the growth that he has shown as a jump shooter, literally from year 1 to year 23. This guy is a diversified scorer, whether people like to say it or not. Maybe not to the level of guys like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and even like a Donovan Mitchell, but he's a very diversified scorer and he showed that his entire career. And really, for anyone for 23 years of NBA basketball to be averaging 27 points for nearly 2.5 decades, nearly now 2.5 decades of NBA basketball, 27 points on 55% effective field goal percentage, that's absurd. And then when you look at the peak of LeBron's scoring production, you're probably going to, as a scorer, like a pure scorer, you're probably going to take that 2013 to 2018 range. Again, the second title in Miami to that last finals run with Cleveland. That 5-year stretch, we're talking about 26 points on 58% effective field goal percentage. It's when the efficiency spikes, but that's also when LeBron is at his most methodical and at his best in terms of also he's got the skill on that jump shot, but he's also just approaching the game, utilizing his peak physical athleticism as much as he can. He still had all the bursts that he could. He also just limited the long middies in this time and actually approached the three-point shot with a bit more aggression there as well. So the aggregate efficiency boosts up there. And abandoning those long middies, it just cuts out a lot of the fat of the efficiency piece. And then in this time period, like within this 5-year stretch, this dude was taking 50% of his looks directly at the rim. This guy wasn't settling for bad, low quality, less analytical shots. He just wasn't whatsoever. And then again, when we talk about pure scoring, and this is my big thing and what most NBA analysis will focus on is like your ability to translate towards the playoffs, because that's what we watch for. And between 2013 to 2018, this guy was giving you 29 points a game on 55% effective field goal percentage. He's the most prolific driver of the basketball that we've ever seen. And in terms of this 5-year gap that we, like in terms of the peak, if you want to grade peaks as a scorer, this guy was routinely finishing at like 75% at the rim. That's continual annual 90th plus percentiles at the rim for forwards and bigs. Absolutely amazing. And look, he was ranked 5th. I wouldn't put him any higher than number 5, to be honest with you, but definitely credible to put him here. Obviously, the term pure scoring is more of an art form, sort of a term to throw around. And LeBron doesn't fit that as glamorously as guys like Kobe Bryant and MJ and Kevin Durant. But the guy's number 5 because he's been doing this for 23 fucking years. So I give him his credit there, and LeBron, leave him at number 5 on this list as the 5th most pure scorer ever, because the guy is way more skilled than what most people will actually give him credit for, again, as a scorer alone. When you get into all the playmaking stuff, the defensive, the IQ stuff, the court mapping, the leadership, that's what makes him the little GOAT candidate at the end of the day, and the most talented player in NBA history, in my opinion. That doesn't make him the GOAT, because achievements is what also boosts that GOAT case. But in terms of talent, I don't think we've actually seen a more talented and well-rounded basketball player than LeBron fucking James. Now, the last point I wanted to hit off was their big rankings and really just the argument between Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokić. Joel Embiid was ranked 4th on this list, and like I kind of get it. And like when you think about it, a lot of fans will be like, "Oh, like yeah, he's a 7-footer who could take jump shots, and you couldn't waver his jump shot quality at all." But playoff translation, like I know criteria differ as well. Like so they didn't specify playoff translation anywhere near as much as say I would. But in saying that, like I get the case with Embiid, right? So he might be the most pure scoring big man ever because of the mass volume of jump shots he was able to take. And he always could put himself on the block, back down plays as well. He had some sort of post hook touch. But the thing is, he didn't utilize it nearly enough compared to what guys like Nikola Jokić did. And when you are factoring in, like, again, statistical production, but also just reliability and just outright dominance. Like, I know Embiid got himself to the line, but I don't think he got himself to the line in the same physical fashion as what guys like Shaq, Giannis, and Jokić did. And I think that's what makes him more dominant. And if you want to lean towards the dominant criteria point, that's why I probably prefer Nikola Jokić. And again, I'm taking Jokić over guys like Shaq and Giannis because of, again, he actually has real shot diversity. The shot efficiency was more efficient than Joel Embiid, really, from everywhere on the court anyways. So I get it. With Embiid in his prime years, he absolutely dominated the league as a scorer in the regular season, purely off this jump shot based diet for a 7-footer. face up, long middies on the short elbow touches that he was continually getting possession to possession. A lot of pace stalling, but at the end of the day for this list, we are grading literally just your ability to put the ball in the basket, no matter how you do it. And in terms of getting to the free throw line, I think he averages the most free throw attempts a game for a career average in NBA history. And that's just his ability to actually, like, he's got maybe the peak anticipation for contact that we've ever seen from anyone that's not a guard. In terms of just that ability to actually just sense illegal contact at the slightest flare, we've never seen any big man, any forward really for that matter, be able to do it to such a technical reach that Joel Embiid actually did. And what made him such a pure scorer, like I'm not saying he doesn't qualify for this list. I just think 4 is a bit high, but possession to possession quality in the regular season, in terms of just the quality he was giving you on every single jump shot, like the jump shot quality itself was unwavered because that overwhelming size and the over the top advantages continually were just so matchup resilient. And when we look at peak scoring between 2020 to 2024, that's a 4-year gap. This guy was giving you 31 points on 55% effective field goal percentage across 4 years. Like, that is pretty dominant fucking scoring. And it got him an MVP, and it got him, I think, 2 scoring titles too as a center in the modern NBA. The only problem with Embiid, again, like, it's continual, but obviously the injuries played a major factor, but it just didn't translate as glamorously against pesky help defenses, guys that could actually harass his gather pocket as well, his gather pocket down low. Again, bigs are generally less coordinated with their hands anyways. And when there was so much help being thrown his way towards those elbows, guys that could help out through the gaps and stunt really aggressively with the rotation speed to cover his passing, which wasn't as glamorous and as fast hitting as Nikola Jokic's, that's where the playoff Embiid offenses tend to get dragged down a little bit more. And in the playoffs, in terms of a scoring production, he validates for this list because he still averaged 27 points a game throughout this 2020 to 2024 standpoint, but the efficiency actually dropped quite a fair bit. 50% effective field goal percentage. Again, big man efficiency has to be higher than that when we are looking at 1A's apex scoring talent. The comparison with Jokić and why I would have Jokić higher than Embiid on a list like this, again, when we're factoring in your ability to put up gaudy numbers and get to the free throw line, this guy, Nikola Jokić, got to the free throw line in a more physically dominant manner when it came to postseasons as well. And that consistently translated, especially because Jokic's game, compared to Embiid, where he's facing up and he's actually showing the ball to defenses, Jokić plays basically like 70 to 80% of his game is predicated with protecting the ball with his back to the basket, again, rather than exposing the ball like Embiid does with the face-up game. That is more sustainable for half-court offensive quality, efficiency, and ball security. And in terms of just scoring the ball, it just gives him more of an ability to like turn the ball over a lot less than Embiid. And he clears Embiid for me because, again, let's just take Jokic's scoring peak. So between 2021 to now 2026, so about 5 years, 6 years, this guy's giving you in the regular season 27 points on 62% effective field goal percentage, 7 effective field goal percentage points up of what Embiid was giving you in the playoffs. The production is higher than Embiid, and the efficiency is way higher than Joel Embiid. So, like, in the playoffs, from 2021 to now, so Jokic's scoring peak, 29 points a game on 57% effective field goal percentage. Obviously, it's going to drop, but the production goes up because he becomes much stronger of a floor raiser in that context. And again, with Jokić, he still has the diversified shot palette, more so, in my opinion, because he actually exhibits it more on the block. The post hook was way more damaging than anything Embiid was able to throw at you on the block on those back down looks. And then also with Jokić, like, again, when we talk about dominance, like, he just produces more bankable created shots for himself because he relies on efficient offense compared to Joel. And really just the argument for Jokić is that at the end of the day, like, any shot Jokić took compared to Embiid really had an extra 10 to 15% efficiency points above what Embiid was taking. When Embiid's settling for long middies throughout the game, Jokić is actually settling for like hook shots between 7 to 10 feet over like smaller guys too. So that's the That's kind of the emphasis why I would put Nikola Jokić as the most pure scoring center of all time. It's also just the longevity, but the playoff translation is so huge. But regardless, like this list, I actually thought was pretty decent. I just think the Kobe thing was pretty outrageous. But to see guys like Gervin, SGA make this list, obviously MJ and Kevin Durant, we know they're going to be around that top 5 zone. To see Kyrie, Donovan Mitchell make this list, hate to say it, but even like to see Karl Malone make this list too. Like they actually got the names right. Just some of the ordering I think could have done with a bit more work. But nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for listening to this quick little reaction sort of thing. And I'll catch you guys in the next one as we do look towards the playoffs, which is only starting in, I think, like less than a month at this point in time. But I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.